Yes, have a look at it. Overclock CPU, overclock GPU, i9 GTX 1080, not overheating. What a friggin' beast! Woo! Right, so here it is, the daddy, the Alienware 15R4. So you want to upgrade that Windows Home to Windows Pro, or just get killer prices on Windows Office 2016 and cheap gaming keys? Head on down to 0 and 9. Make sure you copy and paste my code from the description to get a price that's going to make you go woo! With a GTX 1080 Max Q, 8GB video memory there, i9 baby, i9, 8950 HK, and a 4K G-Sync matte display. The display is 60Hz, and of course you do have a high refresh rate monitor option. That's a 1080p G-Sync monitor, that's 120Hz, and that's a TN panel. And if you don't know the difference between, say, IPS and TN is much faster. If you're a competitive gamer, you're using TN. Now, there are some downsides to TN, but when it comes to response time, it's like 3 times faster than probably the fastest IPS you're getting on laptops at the moment. So they're the two display options. This is great, not only for gaming, but also as a desktop replacement. If you go check out Surface Studio's YouTube channel, he does visual effects with After Effects, Houdini, all this 3D stuff. He uses an Alienware as his desktop replacement, his workstation, because of the power. You know, you're getting GTX 1080 up to i9. He's an older model, but the principle still applies today. Great for content creation as well. But it is a gaming laptop, and this is what we're going to concentrate here on. I will do a separate content creation review, so make sure you like, subscribe, so you can see all that. Get on the woo train. Now let's have a look at these games. I'm going to go into the brass tacks. I'm going to actually have a look at the thermals, and this thing, I cannot overwhelm the thermals. You'll see later, you know, scores are off the charts. I mean, you can 4K game 60 frames per second, most games at medium settings. So if you do get the high refresh rate monitor, you're going to get the maximum out of it with the settings cranked right up. You're going to be getting over those 120 frames per second, and you can game 4K with this thing. Now you will have to go down to medium for 4K depending on the game, but it is a 4K gaming beast. It is a 1080 Max Q, but I've undervolted the CPU to let the clocks go higher. I don't feel the need to overclock it, there's no real point, but I can overclock the GPU by about 150 megahertz, and this performs very similar to a full 1080. What a cracking gaming machine, and this is why you get those thicker gaming machines, because they get the maximum out of their components, doesn't overheat, and have a look how cool it looks. I mean, that zone lighting, the strip lighting on the side, it just has that killer gaming look. And I like it personally because it is like a silver grayish color rather than being this black and red color that a lot of gaming laptops are. But anyway, let's get into its performance. Now let's have a look at the performance of this Alienware R4. This is with the i9, you can see here, i9, 2.9 gigahertz, 32 gigs RAM. And we also have a GTX 1080 Max Q. Let's see how the performance is. Let's have a look. Firestrike, that was my score in Firestrike, 15729. This was all stock, of course. It passed the Firestrike stress test, and you can see there, passed 98.6%. I'm going to actually peg the CPU and peg the GPU in a minute. And if you have a look at Cinebench, this is the highest score I got in Cinebench. I will note that this is slower than the XPS 15 for some reason. I got it 1300 on the XPS 15. So yeah, for some reason this is a little bit slower. All right, let's open Intel XTU, the power gadget, sorry. And then we'll open Intel XTU. And what I'll do here is I'll peg the CPU and GPU and see if there's any thermal issues here. So this is 100% CPU and 100% GPU. You can see I've been testing with undervolt and unlocking the power here. Let's just set it to stock. So we'll go to profiles, we'll go to default, and we'll show the values and we'll apply that. So this is all stock now. As you can see, there's no undervolt. So no funny buggers here. Let's peg that GPU and CPU. All right, so I'm going to mine. That's going to peg the the GPU, and it will peg it 100% virtually. and then I'm going to actually run Prime 95 on the CPU. Now this is a load that is unrealistic. You're never going to have a load like this that pegs the CPU and GPU 100%, especially for gaming. Forget about it. You're only going to peg the CPU maybe, or not peg it, maybe use 40-50% of the CPU max if you're gaming. So that's never going to happen, and some games don't even use the GPU like 100% either. So let's peg the GPU now. So how do we do that? And we'll see if the GPU is stock too. Make sure the GPU is stock. You can see there it's absolutely stock, but you can see it's running now. It is running flat stick basically, and we'll just run Cinebench, oh sorry, not Cinebench, we'll run Prime 95 and make sure we peg the CPU as well 100%. Yeah, alright, that'll do. Whatever. Now, this is peg CPU and GPU. The absolute torture test of torture test. You're never going to have this realistic load, and look how much, 65 cents a day with a GTX 1080. If you want to know why mining is tanked, this is why. So anyway, what we can see here is we are 3 gigahertz. So above its base clock, 100% CPU this is now. So have a look here on this power gadget. I wish it was bigger, but it's not. This is 100%, 3 gigahertz, 100% utilization, and only 80 degrees, okay? Now the GPU is being pegged. The GPU is 70 degrees or 69 degrees, as you can see here. So this is outstanding thermal performance, okay? In gaming, you're going to get much higher clocks than this. You're going to get up to 4 gigahertz, and I'll show you live gaming in a minute. But this is the absolute ultimate torture test, where we're getting 82 degrees, like with the CPU 100% and the GPU 100%. So the thermals in this are outstanding. The only thing here limiting really this GPU, if we have a look at XTU, if that would like to come up. And as you can see, everything's running like molasses now because every resource is being used 100%. And as you can see here, yellow, it's power limit throttling. So this could actually give more power to the CPU. Like we could actually go over 3 gigahertz because we're only 82 degrees. We could go into the 90s and increase that speed. But as you can see, power limit throttling, the power supply can only supply so much power to the GPU and CPU at once. Like I've never seen a laptop other than, I think there's those laptops that have 2 power supplies that would be able to do that, like actually supply more power to the GPU and CPU than what it, like this is, I think it's 250 watts. And yeah, you cannot supply enough power. And look how slow it's running, because everything is maxed 100% now. And this is consistent because I've done this and I've run it for like an hour like this and it stays consistent. That's 3 gigahertz. You can see the temperatures, no problem there, 83 degrees. And the temperature on the GPU, it's not going to go up much more, maybe 1 or 2 degrees, and maybe 1 or 2 degrees on the CPU here. But it's going to stay in the 80s. And I'll just, for a laugh, I'll just overclock the GPU now. I could overclock the CPU too, but there's no point in me doing this because it's power limit throttling. So yeah, I'm not going to get any more power out of this. It's going to have to take power from somewhere else. So I'll just do that. As you can see there, boom, the GPU went up to 1500, but then it starts coming back down. And it's not the temperature limiting it, it's the power. It cannot supply enough power. And when you game, you're never going to use this much power. So this is the ultimate torture test. And as you can see, no thermal issues. And that's the important thing to know. No thermal issues with this. I have heard people saying there are. You can see maybe they have a faulty unit and whatever. But this one here, no thermal issues. And I'll start gaming. Let's just get straight into the game and see how we go. So 100% stock, and you'll see here every now and then when it power limit throttles, you'll see it just come on there. It just flashes up power. That means it's power limit throttling on the GPU. That's from the GPU, that. So this is at 4K, mate. Amazing. Look, let's have a look at the settings. 4K full screen, and we're at mediums. Now, these are my custom settings. I'll just put it at medium just so you can see. All right. So at medium, you virtually get your, nearly 60 frames per second. So this is 4K, remember. 1080 GTX 1080 Max Q, and this is nice and smooth at nearly 60 frames per second. But I just go in here, go into settings, and there's stuff in PUBG like you don't want processing on high, you want that on very low. The effects, that's a load of crap. Turn that on very low. And view distance can stay medium. Foliage, you want that on low so you can actually see through the grass better, and you want the shadows low as well, because so you can see better in the shadows. And we'll apply those settings. Boom, and there we go. 4K over 60 frames per second. Where the fellas wanted to go here, we've got 3 people. Where are we going? Not playing with a controller now, so no excuse for my gaming. You can hear the fans. That's pretty good, man. For a gaming laptop, it's pretty good. Where are we going? Where are we going, fellas? Alright, I've marked out there. Let's go. Might as well stick to it. Oh, yellow. Where's yellow going? Oh, no, he's coming. Oh, they're not coming with me. Bad teammates, or I'm a bad teammate. Let's go in there. Let's get into some action. But temperatures, look, in the 90s for the CPU. But as you can see, the clocks are a lot higher. So when we're doing the torture test, the clocks were, 3 gigahertz. Now we're getting up to nearly 4 gigahertz. 3.8, 3.9. You can see it's using 44 watts. And we can also see the GPU is 1400 megahertz. Now, I can probably overclock this. I'll overclock it in a minute if I survive long enough. How's that? Level 3 backpack. Nice. I don't even consider them guns. Winchester. Go away. I just need a vest and I'll be happy. Oh, nice. Alright, let's go in for some action. Yeah, I know I should be pressing tab, but who cares, whatever. Alright, so B, let's get in there. See if we can nail someone. Alright, you can see the temperatures under control there. High 3 gigahertz for the CPU, and the GPU is at 1400. And it's not going to overheat. You can see it's power limit throttling on the GPU a little bit. It's not affecting performance at all. I mean, this is as much power as it can supply, so is what it is. You might have one of those. One thing is, you will want a, I might turn the sound up a little bit. Okay, it was 100% anyway. Yeah, because the fans are pretty loud, so you need a headset or something like that. Now, when I say they're pretty loud, not as loud as other gaming laptops, I can tell you now. For a gaming laptop, this is really good. That'll be nice. Where is it? Where are you going? Where are you going? I can't see through this thing. Oh, there you go. Alright, let's see if we can get some action. Why not try a bit of overclock? I've played this for a long time, and yeah, the GPU is not going to go over 15 megahertz or 1500 megahertz. It's going to stay around here, but we can get a bit of extra performance out of it. So let's just tab out of this and we'll try a bit of an overclock. I'm not going to overclock the CPU, but what I am going to do is just basically just undervolt it a bit. And that's for my profile, and we'll show the values there. Apply them. Let's go here. As you can see, Minus 120, we might reduce that to minus 100. We don't want to crash. And I will just release the horses here up to there. That'll do. See if those settings stuck. So minus 100 undervolt, and it can boost up to 99 watts if it wants to. It's not going to, because we're gaming at the moment. Also the GPU, I will overclock that by 144 on the clock speed there, and about 244 for the GPU, and see what difference this makes. Oh, what's happened there? Am I still playing 4K? What's going on? Oh no, it's 4K. Okay. It just doesn't look 4K now. It's weird. Yeah, no, it is 4K. It's just had a close-up camera angle. Okay, so now you can see GPU, 1500 megahertz. So it is going faster. CPU, it's a little bit slower because more power to the GPU. Oh no, we're going 4 gigahertz on the 4 gigahertz, yep, on the CPU as well. So as you can see, the clocks are faster on both CPU and GPU. We're going over 4 gigahertz with the i9. Look at the power of that i9, and look, we're not going to throttle here. This is 4 gigahertz on the CPU, and this is 1500 on the GPU. Both overclocked, and there is no overheating. There's some power limit throttling there, slight bit of that, but other than that, this is beast gaming, beast mode, and it's probably the best gaming laptop I've used. It's unbelievable that I'm doing this. I'm overclocking both. Well, I'm not overclocking the CPU. I've undervolted it, so the clock speeds are going higher, so they're into the 4 gigahertz, and the GPU is 1500, and this is unbelievable. Look at it. We're getting 90 frames per second, 4K medium settings. Yes, I just did adjust some of the settings, lowered them a little bit down, but basically medium settings, textures, anti-aliasing, and view distance. So fantastic.